we have so much power here in the state in coalition, really a multicultural coalition that is values aligned, that we actually got to go do some things. We can't just sit on the sidelines or go send a couple of dollars and go show up to Alabama and be in a march. We actually had to demonstrate, right, that we can leverage this power in order to make everybody's lives better, including this community, but we need everybody to participate.
You off the shot, right down the shot one time?
Yep. And this whole area right here is Murph Park, man. I've seen it go, I've seen it fall, and I've seen it being rebuilt. You know what I mean? With all the trains and everything like that coming in, I know it's some convenience, but at the same time, I wonder if these people being compensated for all the years that they had to lose business. You know,
I can tell you
process.
That's why Buffalo Wild.
Yeah, right. So it's good to see the rebuild, but it was terrible seeing it go down. We got Lamert Parks over here busy right now. He got all kind of stuff going on. We'll take a trip over there and see what's exactly taking place today. I'm not sure exactly what's going on over there today, but we'll go take a look. This is where I grew up, man. It's the Crenshaw District.
I know these streets from like growing up going to church in Lamert. My auntie lived on Mount Vernon. You know, having friends in Ladera, View Park, and all of that kind of stuff, some in Lamert.
But not being here day to day, on high schools in this part of town. And living what you live, right here. The element of dipping in and dipping out, being connected to the LA of it all without being connected to, you know, what it's like to exist on these streets day in and day out.
Right.
And also to have a family that had a, you know, a consistent and actually thriving, you know, business endeavor where there was no, I never had a thought about, well, I gotta make it so that I bring my family out of something, or I gotta, you know, make a decision around you know, access to bread, to cash, man. And nor was I in an environment where everybody else was selling drugs or everybody else was in the gang. Or I didn't have cousins, you know, that were active, older cousins that were active. I had an older cousin that smoked too much weed at Morehouse, and that might be a problem. But it's one thing, man, to see a young person at the Brother Crusade, hang out with them, be at some event with the Lakers, or, you know, talking to them about hopeful things. It's just entirely another thing. Talk to somebody who's lived, you know, 5+ decades of being in and around it, the politics of it. There's a reason why LA's culture is exported all around the world. Is, in my opinion, this is the heartbeat of it. And go hit Whittier Boulevard, you go hit Boyle Heights, and there's the essence of that experience that's around the world too. But in terms of, you know, the black part of the LA experience, which is really a black and brown, you know, derivative of gang culture, of youth, you know, rebellion to poverty is really what it is. And what expressed itself from that is what, you know, what has been transported all around the world and commercialized.
You know, it's interesting that you talk to me about that from this perspective, because I don't know any other way. I don't know any other way but to grow up feeling you didn't have enough, that you got to do more. Feeling that you got to do better for your mom, you got to do better to your siblings and your cousins and friends, because they're better. And willing to sacrifice yourself, put yourself on the line in order to make it happen. So that's how I grew up, and that's what this area means to me. sacrifice, struggle, and decision making. Sometimes the decisions weren't the best, but they were what I had to do in order to move my family forward, in my opinion, at the time. Obviously, your opinion changes as you grow, as you're exposed to more things. But I wasn't exposed to Fortune 500 company information, you know? I was exposed to the big homie down the block that had the sack in the big house. His sister, his brother was clean when they went to school. So I said, I'm gonna do the same. And that's what it was like around here. You know, you gotta grow up in survival mode. The gangs and all that happened initially. You know, I grew up in a time where that wasn't that prevalent, right? So, I mean, we've always had some sort of gangs in Los Angeles, but not the Crenshaw, right? So, it's always been some level of danger. It's always been some level, you know, poverty breeds danger, man. It's gonna be dangerous in impoverished communities, and you know, because somebody's mad, man. Everybody's always mad. You wake up to people mad. Like, how you gonna be mad as soon as you wake up in the morning? Because your life is so up too, you know what I mean? So, that lack of information is the biggest thing, and knowing how to even resolve conflict. Conflict resolution is the thing that's needed around here. These kids need to know, how do you settle things without pulling out guns? You know, how do you settle things without being so territorial that you destroy one another? You know what I mean? So, very interesting that you say that, man, because I can't even understand a life without having to think about these things.
Right.
My brother, I got an older brother, grew up a lot different than me. You know, when we pull up to places, my level of alertness is totally different than his. And he's like, man, you think about things I don't even think about. You know, I pull up, I'm watching everything. You know, my eyes is going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm watching everything. He doesn't have to do that. You know what I mean?
What's the significance of this block, Pinehurst?
This is one of the most dangerous neighborhoods, one of the dangerous blocks in our neighborhood. You know, it's same thing. Everybody's fighting. Everybody's trying to struggle to survive, man. Hustle. Back in the days, you know, you would have 20 people running up to the cars trying to sell you something. But everybody's fighting and struggling and trying to hustle to survive. So there's a whole lot of different sections that make up this neighborhood. And this particular street, Pinehurst, is one. It's all people, man, all good people, man. You know, sometimes good people are forced to do bad things in order to survive. I wasn't thinking about survival and all that in the second, third grade.
And when you grew up, obviously none of this new stuff was here.
All these new buildings and all that. Like I say, it's a you know, it's a good and bad thing, right? It's a good thing when I see more, you know, more places there, but who owns these buildings? Do any of my people that grew up around here own any of these new buildings?
Probably not.
You know? So, like I said, it's a good and it's bittersweet. And look at the community's cry, man.
Yeah.
You know, love, peace, grace, respect. Look at the communities, you know, hand in hand, man. The community wants these things, man. Nobody wants to run around hurting each other, shooting at each other, robbing from one another, you know. People want decency and a decent chance to thrive. And the information to be able to do so. You know, in my young life, I've never lived over 1 mile on either side of Crenshaw Boulevard. Not over 1 mile in my youth, up until my 20s, right? I love this place, man. You know, it's fascinating. I was here before the train tracks and the Metro Rail. I watched that thing develop, and you know, I haven't been on it, but I'd like to ride it one day just to see how that is. to experience that. I've never been on.
But definitely get you to do that when they open Destination Crenshaw. Speaking of which, one of the brothers, man, I'm most proud of out here, so because solid dude, but also like what you do matters, man. Like when you get into a position of leadership, what you accomplish actually matters. This brother knew that like of all the trains around L.A., this is the only place where we coming up to right here where the train prominently really runs above ground on a prominent street.
Okay.
No, it's like on Wilshire, the train is below grade the entire time.
Okay.
All in downtown, the train is below grade. But then you come on Crenshaw, it's less expensive to put it above grade, so it's on the street.
Right.
And it's an eyesore, right? So Marquise, but he also knew that bringing the train here, people like to live near transit, right? And then all of these big apartment buildings, they got all this transit density abatements, meaning you could have a lot more apartments without having to build parking. It's expensive to build parking. So it's a lot of concrete. But if you put it near a train, you now don't have to have all that parking. So developers who otherwise wouldn't have built are building here, which means people that are not from this community are moving into those apartments. And all of it, because of the train, is driving the real estate up, meaning some of our folks and relatives choose to take the money and leave to the 909, go to the south, leave to Palmdale with that bread, right?
Okay.
That's how gentrification happens. So what he said was, what communities have grown without gentrifying, or at least have, kind of held back gentrification? And he looked at Harlem. And he said the reason why Harlem, even though, there are people that aren't black living in Harlem, Harlem still has all of its institutions, still has the Apollo, still has the food institutions, Red Rooster, and all of that. And so what he did is he built the largest outdoor art museum west of Chicago.
Okay.
And that's what Destination Crenshaw is. So if you look at all this art, all the pocket parks, meaning a lot of the lots that weren't being used, the city took them back and is creating parks out of it. And when we get down here, you're going to see what's called Sankofa Park, which is right out of Park Park. It's going to be a second story, a two-story park with all kinds of art exhibits. So now this is the train that takes you to the airport. So everybody that gets off the plane from around the world when they come to LA and for the Olympics and all that, got to come through the Crenshaw District to get to downtown. And there's a lot of people around the world that are used to taking public transportation. They're going to expect to take the train. The train going to take them right downtown. But you're going to come through the Crenshaw District and you're going to see all this art that's going to give black permanence. Saying this is the epicenter of black LA, and you're going to see and feel black LA no matter who lives here forever, right? I love that, man, that brother did that. Raised $130 million or so in order to get it done. And I think we're finally going to see it open either later this summer or early in the fall.
Okay. I'd like to check that out.
We're about to see it right now. See this white tarp on this thing standing up here? That's a big sculpture. But the views from up there are incredible too. Not quite like that rooftop, but they are great views. This is all Sankofa Park.
We're going right here.
I'll go in front.
Yeah. Make sure you get that LA right there on the shirt.
What up, I'm good. I'm good. What up, dog? Correct.
You met T-Lada before, right?
I met him once or twice before. Yeah.
Oh.
Down at the shop way back when?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, get us, man. One more time.
As you see, D.
Always,
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
you know.
What you think? You watching the show?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
And, like, what does it feel like being here?
It feels good, man. I mean, it's my roots, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's always good to be able to come back where you grew up where you come from, you know, and you haven't done any type of bullshit to where you can't come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's also important, man, just to try to fight, man, and just try to make sure things are okay for the people that are here. You know what I mean? I live in 2 or 3 places, right? But this is home.
Yeah.
So I got to make sure home and the people that I love and the people that helped raise me, man, people in this house, that house, this house, you know what I mean? Like I know everybody around here.
Yeah.
I grew up with them, so man, I just want things to be right for them.
And what is it, you know, what's the difference between what they're experiencing and where they are right now, and maybe some things that you've discovered, or where you see your life going over the next 5, 10 years, or things that you're involved in? Is there ever a rub, or what's the rub? What you want for them versus what their current reality is?
I think the current reality is, man, that we better get informed. I think we have to pay attention to things far more than we did in the recent past. I think in the 1960s and 70s, they were fully aware, and they put in a whole lot of work for us to be comfortable. And I think since then, we've gotten too comfortable. And I think that if we don't learn now and we don't get in tune with what's going on, we're going to face it's going to be back to the 40s and 50s around here. I'm not trying to bring a call for violence or a call for hate. You know, I just want everyone to be prepared so they can stand up for themselves. You can't defend yourself if you can't even see the person swinging at you. And I just think that that's what's taking place right now. People don't really know. We're not informed enough.
What do you think, when you think about what's going on right now, like we get into exactly what's in the culture, what's in the algorithm right now, when we see everybody in Montgomery, you know, obviously the Supreme Court last week, and what they did that enabled all these legislatures across the South to take black representation away from all these, you know, black voters. California is different, but when you know, our folks in this neighborhood, our folks, you know, in the traditional 60s neighborhood, which is reflective of a lot of different neighborhoods around LA, both black and brown. Are they aware? Do they care? Do they understand the landscape of California?
I think more and more people are starting to be aware. And I think shows like ours that's bringing awareness. I think people appreciate it. I get a lot of calls, man. I get calls from some real reputable G's, man. That's like, hey, man, thank you for the show you're doing. And thank you for showing growth and showing that we can do some things other than the way we used to do them, right? And so I think that people are more aware, but I think we got to keep on pushing, man. And if we don't, like I said, I just feel like we're going to be, this is Jim Crow 2.0.
Yeah.
And they're being obvious, bro. Like you say, the quiet part out loud, it ain't even the quiet part no more. It's blatant.
Yeah.
It's blatant. And luckily, we live in a state to where we don't have to feel it as much as everyone else. But we still have to do our duty and our responsibility to let everybody else know, hey, this is what's going on over here, and because we could be next.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Like, we live in the United States of America. We're under the jurisdiction of the federal government.
Yeah.
The federal government is run by white nationalists, and they're implementing exactly what they said they were going to do. And they're being successful at it, and it's not just a since Trump thing. It's been a 30-year play.
Yeah.
40-year play, and them actually getting what they want to have happen over the Supreme Court and all of that. It's about successful long-term strategy, and it's their truth. Their truth is that they're white nationalists. I just think for us, I hope we realize, and I hope when folks tune in here, that we recognize how unique we are in California. You know, that although we're not faced with the same circumstance around, you know, taking our vote away, or we don't have Maxine Waters all of a sudden getting cut out and she can't represent us anymore, or
crazy.
Sidney Comlager Dove, or, you know, some federal representative. We're not faced with that, but we have so much power here in the state, in coalition, really a multicultural coalition that is values aligned, that we actually got to go do some things. We can't just sit on the sidelines or go send a couple of dollars or go show up to Alabama and be in a march. We actually had to demonstrate right, that we can leverage this power in order to make everybody's lives better, including this community, but we need everybody to participate. Like, we actually do need, like you said, everybody to pay attention, which is why it's so fascinating to me to, you know, be driving down this street, another palm tree, beautifully LA line palm tree street. We got kids in the background.
Yes, sir.
On the jungle gym.
That's community, man.
It is community, but it's still the kill zone.
Yeah.
You know, it's still LA.
We got to wake up, man. We got to wake up, and the youth has to wake up, and we have to be
I've done a lot of damage to this community as well. I've been a part of a lot of things that help bring this place down. So it's my responsibility, more so than a whole lot of other people, to help lift it back up.
Yeah.
So the first step is awareness. Even the youngsters, they don't know, man. The young kids, do they know? No. They're just out here trying to live their lives and trying to have fun, and they're chasing social media. Everything they see on social media, that's word to them, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, trying to just figure out a way to make information cool,
Yeah.
to make gaining power cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's our job. We have to
Yeah.
figure out how to make it cool, man.
Yeah, man. I think we got to show people and prove to them that it's there for them and that it's something in it for them.
There it is.
And they just showing up to the ballot box or paying attention or giving somebody your attention, which is your currency. It's actually, there's something in it for you to create what you want for your family too, man. There's some bread in it. There's some resources in it. There's, you know, if you pay attention, the return on your time and your effort is going to be a better life for you and the people that you care about. We got to make that true.
Therefore, when you get to where I am in age, you won't be having to do the same mission here. It'll already be done.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's go.
Let's get it.
That's
Keep
what we're here
moving.
for, brother.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
100.